Estamos con Isabel Hoffman, que es CEO de TellSpec. Thank you for your time and congratulations for TellSpec.
Thank you.
I would like to know a little bit how the idea came to you to create this project.
Okay, so the project was born because my daughter was sick. And we had been living in Europe and we moved to Canada in 2011. And my daughter spent 3 months being well, and after 3 months she became very, very sick. She had many hives and swollen of different parts of her mouth and face and low blood pressure. And eventually, doctor said, you know, it's a viral infection, it's going to go. But eventually it wasn't. It was something that took her to be in bed. So she was in bed for 8 months. So she missed all the school. And no one could understand what she had. And eventually I managed to take her to California, and she was diagnosed with many allergies to food. She's celiac. She has a problem also with the thyroid, but it all became a nightmare after that to eat. You know, how do you eat out when you cannot? You have to avoid gluten, you have to avoid sugars, you have to count carbs, so that was how TellSpec was born.
Okay, and it becomes that. Can you show us the device, please?
So
can you explain us what TellSpec is?
Okay, so it's actually a spectrometer. This is a spectrometer. And so it's not very intelligent. It's a reflective near-infrared spectrometer, and it throws light out and receives light back in. So it throws the light out, hits a sample, the sample absorbs a little bit of energy, and so the photons then are reflected back with a different energy. So we count photons and their energy. So that gives us a unique fingerprint of the food. And with that unique fingerprint, we take it to the cloud, and from the cloud, we do an analysis, complex analysis, becomes big data now. We look at all the molecular and organic molecules that we see on that graph, on that spectrum, and we then analyze them to nutritional value.
What kind of information can you get with TellSpec?
So when we send that information to the app, we get macronutrients, fats, proteins, carbohydrates, fiber, net carbs, calories, sugars, glycemic index, presence or absence of gluten, and soon we'll have presence or absence of soya and of milk. And the beauty about it is that we don't need to upgrade the TellSpec machine, because we're just upgrading the cloud. So as we progress, we do more and more detections, and we just, with a simple version of the app, we are able to give the consumer a better information.
So if imagine that now I am a person with some kind of allergy, how can I use it? I need the device, and I need to have the app in my phone. How does it work?
Yeah, so I need to phrase something here very important. We are not a medical device, so anyone that has an allergy should not use this only. This should only be used as a precaution, because we are not able to necessarily go to trace. So if you have an allergy and say the allergy is here, but you scan only here, I'm not going to pick up. Okay, so you would have to scan quite a bit. So it's a good precaution, and it's a necessary but not sufficient precaution. But if you wanted to have the app and the scanner for precaution, or for counting calories, or for counting macronutrients, sugar is very important in a diet. You just simply can order it online from us right now, but we are also currently in discussions with a large company in Spain to carry our product.
Okay.
So you would just, by the end of the year, next year, you'll be able to buy the product from that company, almost for sure. And but right now you could pre-order from us, and so once you pre-order and we ship to you a few months later, we send you the app.
Okay, and something that started with a project that will be able to help your daughter now has become a company. Tell us about the company. What is the state of the company right now? Because you have become some kind of big data company. Which are your plans for it?
Well, of course, we're still a startup, okay? Although we do huge big data, like when we get information, we evaluate the information, it decomposes into big data. We still are a startup, and we are still only doing 10 detections. So we plan to continue to build more detections and more detections. We plan to do monosodium glutamate. We plan to do food fraud, like is this food, is this meat what it says it is? Like, is it horse meat? Is it cow meat? Or is it pork meat? Is this fish correct or not? I mean, there's a lot of cod fish that is sold as cod, but it's not cod, it's halibut. So we plan to introduce many more detections that are important people, while teaching people the information about the nutrition and information about the ingredients. As we move along, we hope to create a clean food revolution. So a place where we all eat the best food, the cleanest food, and the most nutritious food for us. And this is only done, I think, when we actually are able to teach the consumer, teach everybody, the bad things that are in the food. And the good things too, right? Bad and good at the same time. But people in general are not very educated so far, because the food manufacturers have gone very fast in the name of feeding a lot of people in the world. But they moved the fight, they accepted adulteration, they accepted modifications, they have cut costs, they have introduced sugar so that people get addicted. And all that has to finish, because our governments can't handle the costs, the health costs that this bad nutrition is giving to these people.
So this is empowering somehow the consumer to make better decisions about what they eat. But what do you think is the effect that this kind of information or empowerment is going to have in the industry?
Oh, I think big effect. I mean, it will slow, but I mean, if we were 20 years from now, we will see, first of all, the manufacturers producing much more clean food, much more transparency in what they produce, much more accountability. But we also will see more local production. So the growth of local environments, local growth. For instance, organic farming, but vertical farming, right? Because that vertical farming allows us to do farming in areas that we may not necessarily have farms, like on top of roofs, on top of, inside the buildings, but allows us to have local nutritional information, because fresh food is good as the nutritional values that are necessary for our well-being. It's when the food is overly processed that we end up by having problems. I mean, there's many studies showing that there is, I don't know if you know the Kitawa people, there's huge studies shown that these people found in the Pacific, they were an island isolated from civilization. They did not have cardiovascular diseases, they did not have cancer. And what did they eat? Fruit, vegetables, avocados, and meat and fish. No grains, no processed food. So we can really prevent a lot of diseases by having a healthy diet. So I believe that what will happen is local farming. And some of the large manufacturers of food that today hold huge multinationals, that wealth will be distributed locally. So that will improve the local communities. And also I believe that we will have much less costs in the health system, and we'll be able to associate certain diseases to what people are eating. Because if everybody's scanning all the time, we'll be able to say, okay, this pocket of people, they have longevity. Why they have longevity? What are they eating, or what ingredient are they eating for longevity? Or this pocket of people have neurological diseases. Are they exposed to pesticides? And what type of pesticides?
That's what you are going to be able, with all the information you are
with all
gathering.
The data. That's correct.
Okay, that's a very ambitious objective, yes. But people may think, okay, but what is the business model behind that? How TellSpec is going to survive to be able to move this green revolution?
It's like every revolution. You have your followers that are willing to do anything for you, and today we have quite a few followers. that are willing to scan food for us and to add to the database to grow for nothing, because they believe in our mission. But of course, we have to also be business-oriented and intelligent about this. So we are slowly doing a lot of business-to-business agreements with supermarkets, for instance. So supermarkets can use it for quality assurance, like is this ripe? Is it too ripe? Is it good quality? Can it be traced to the origin? Or the meats, for instance, is it cow? Is it really cow, or is it horse meat? So supermarkets can benefit for value, for quality assurance on the background. So we're doing those deals. We're doing deals with agricultural companies they have to test food in order to sell the raw materials. And often testing food in large laboratories is very expensive. So going locally and being able to scan, it's fantastic, right? So you no longer have, we have a client that is in the business of flour, and in China they tend to adulterate this flour very often. So we develop a little app and a program so that he can detect the adulteration of his flour. So now you can just go scan and say, I don't buy because it's adulterated, or I buy because it's pure. Mm-hmm. So we're doing business also with restaurants, because as you know, in Europe, the restaurants need to have nutritional value for all their menus. But more than that, once we build that nutritional value, we'll be able to actually do quality control on the foods they make. So say there's a franchise, we have the master of the recipe, and then we have the scan, and now they can scan the other franchises and see if they're following the recipe. Mm-hmm. So there's many applications, but those three are the top ones that we are working on, signing up supermarkets and agricultural and restaurants right now. So it's kind of using the B2B to get to the C. So business to business to get to the consumer. But at the end of the way, at the end of the trajectory, the idea is really bringing this to the consumer.
Okay, thanks a lot for your time.
Gracias. Thank you.